Very much. Let's get some more on what's going on. The chairman of the Republican National Committee, Reince Priebus, is joining us from Detroit right now. Reince, thank you very much for joining us. Fascinating developments. I covered politics for a long time, and I remember when two previous Republican presidential nominees both seemed to suggest they couldn't support the current Republican presidential frontrunner if that frontrunner gets the nomination. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
Another day, another fascinating development, huh, Wolf? I mean, have I ever seen anything like this before? Not really, but you know, I haven't been around that long, so I can't really tell you. You know what? Nothing surprises me anymore. But the truth is, this process is going to come to a head soon, and we're going to get to a nominee. And when we get to a nominee, this party is going to support that nominee 100% with the best political organization that we've ever put together. So that's my position on it, and I'm looking forward to the day that we've got a nominee.
Even if the nominee is Donald Trump?
I don't care who the nominee is. Our job is to support the person that gets the majority of delegates, and whoever that is going to have the 100% support of the Republican Party.
Because a lot of Republicans, establishment, maybe some not so much establishment, they're saying they could never support Donald Trump. More than 50 Republican national security leaders, they wrote this letter today saying that if he were the nominee, they couldn't support him as commander-in-chief. Among other things, they said he's not competent and his temperament is not ready for that. You saw that letter, right?
Well, sure, but it doesn't change the charge and the rules of the nomination process. So, I mean, it's no different today than 100 years ago, which is you have a process, and whatever candidate gets a majority of the delegates is going to get the support of the party. That's how it works. It's not going to be any different. There's not going to be any shell games going on. I mean, that's the process, and we're going to get it done.
Is the Republican Party, though, potentially falling apart at the seams?
No. The Republican Party has more people elected today across this country since 1900. You know, we've got to learn how to win a presidential election as a party. I'll give you that. But, you know, this is a long process. You know, we've got over 1,700 delegates to allocate still. We've got a long way to go. And I think ultimately fighting in primaries is not indicative of losing in November. Take 2008. Mitt Romney and, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton fought each other tooth and nail, tore each other's eyes out. They sued each other over delegate at the convention, and they killed us. So, I mean, you know, okay, so there's some fighting and some intrigue. That's not going to be a problem.
But it certainly wasn't as brutal as it is right now. Let me read to you what John McCain said today, Reince. He said, I share the concerns about Donald Trump that my friend and former Republican nominee Mitt Romney described in a speech today. I want Republican voters to think long and hard about who they want to be our next commander-in-chief and leader of the free world. How does the party come together if so many Republican leaders say they can't support Donald Trump?
Well, I mean, it depends who the nominee is, Wolf. So, I mean, obviously, we don't know who the nominee is. But no matter who the nominee is, we are going to come together. We're going to talk to all those people. We're going to have months to do it. And as you know, in politics, weeks feel like months and months feel like years. And you and I are going to be having an interview in the middle of July or August, and we're not even going to remember the fact that you and I talked today in Detroit. So, look, you know, time heals, and it always has, and it will. And the reality is that we're running against Hillary Clinton, who's in the ditch, who people don't like, who might be indicted. You know, so look, the polls are very close, and I think that we're doing great, and I know that this party will come together when it's all over.
Trump and all the other candidates signed a loyalty pledge. Should they refuse, any of these candidates, let's say Trump is the nominee, should they refuse to support him as the nominee, would the Republican National Committee penalize them for breaking their pledge?
Well, I mean, they drop out. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do to them, but the fact is, but the reality is, everyone has to keep in mind, is that these candidates are competing to join the Republican Party. That's what this process is. The Republican Party always is. These candidates are competing to join the Republican Party. One of them is going to join the Republican Party in Cleveland or sooner. And when that happens, we're going to get behind that nominee. So, of course, these candidates have to sign and agree to be loyal to a party that they wish to be the nominee of. And so there's nothing unusual about that. And there's nothing unusual about our party coming around and supporting the person that becomes the nominee after getting a majority of the delegates.
Here's the question, Reince, because you've said often the Republican Party is the party of Lincoln, the party of Reagan, but I'll ask you this. Would you say today your party is the party of Romney or the party of Trump? Because it clearly can't be both.
Our party is the party of Lincoln and Reagan. I'll put it that way. And the fact is that it always will be. It's a party of freedom. It's the party of opportunity. It's the party of equality. And that's what our party is, and that's what it always will be.
Because, as you know, he's gotten a lot of votes so far, Donald Trump, at least so far with 15 contests or so, primaries, caucuses behind us. Republicans say Trump is the guy. He's gotten millions of votes.
Okay, great. I mean, and he very well might be. And obviously, we're shattering records when it comes to turnout. We're crushing the Democrats when it comes to enthusiasm. We're crushing the Democrats when it comes to fundraising, when it comes to infrastructure. It's thanks, in part it is, but in part it's also thanks to serious presidential campaigns that have serious operations in turning out voters. So, you know, you look at any of these states, you look at Iowa, you look at South Carolina, you look at New Hampshire, there's records across this country. There's been different winners in a lot of these states. Trump's won most of them. But even in all of the states, there's been records that have been shattered. That's because I think the enthusiasm's on the Republican side of the aisle, and the doldrums and boredom is on the other side of the aisle. I like our chances, Wolf. Yes, drama. Yes, intrigue. But there's enthusiasm, there's excitement, and there's an opponent on the other side that looks like she's going to get in trouble with the FBI and the DOJ, who just gave immunity to one of her employees. And I can tell you, the DOJ doesn't hand out immunity agreements for fun and just for games. Something's going on over there.
Let me get your reaction to what CNN's Jamie Gangel just reported. She reported that in case, let's say, Donald Trump doesn't get, the 1,237 pledged delegates you need to be guaranteed the nomination, but gets close, he gets more than others, there could be this contested convention, and maybe Mitt Romney or someone else could emerge, your fellow Wisconsinite, let's say Paul Ryan. You think that's at all realistic?
Not really. I mean, this kind of conversation is so far away from where this process is at. There has been, there are 1,700 plus more delegates to go. We have a long way before we even need to think about something like that. So I just think it's a waste of time playing those sort of matrix games right now.
Did you have any conversations with Mitt Romney leading up to his blistering speech today?
No. I mean, I didn't talk to Mitt at all about it. I didn't know he was going to do it until I saw it. I've talked to Mitt Romney. I do talk to Mitt Romney. I talked to Paul Ryan, as you know, but certainly not about the speech today, and obviously didn't know about it.
So when you heard about that he was going to deliver the speech, you didn't call him, you didn't talk to him. Is that right?
No, did not.
You talk to Donald Trump at all out there on the campaign trail? Give him any advice?
Sure.
Any consultations?
I'll see him tonight. I talked to him on Tuesday night. We talk to all the campaigns. I mean, you're down to 4 candidates. When you go through a process like this, and we're on our 10th debate, maybe the 11th at this point, you go through things together. You talk about things that are going well. You hear about things that people don't think are going well. You adjust. You're going through quite a process together, and our job is to try to provide the best possible situation we can for our candidates, but also to be prepared for one of them. So in that process, Wolf, you're building relationships as you move forward. You're not building enemies as you move forward. You're not trying to find ways to get at each other's throats. It's the opposite. You're trying to find ways to work together, and you're trying to find ways so that when you do get a nominee, so that there's a feeling, of cooperation that's involved when that happens. So, It's a lot different, I think, than what a lot of the folks think is going on out there. It's a much tighter process than it may appear.
Interestingly, Donald Trump says that if he doesn't get along with the Speaker, Paul Ryan, if for some reason they don't work things out, Ryan is going to have to pay a big price. You heard those words from Donald Trump. He's the highest-ranking Republican in the federal government, the Speaker of the House. He'll have the gavel, as you know, at the convention this summer. If Donald Trump gets into a fight with Paul Ryan the way, let's say, he has with John McCain or Mitt Romney or Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz, what will that do to the party?
Well, I'm going to chair the convention along with Paul Ryan, and so I don't know if that's your angle, but you know what? Paul's a nice guy. He understands that there's political hyperbole and rhetoric. He doesn't care at all about that, and my guess is that Trump probably laughs it off too. So I think some of this stuff, to react to every little comment that people are making, is kind of just a waste of time. It's a lot of fun to talk about, but quite frankly, you know what? I talked to Paul since then a few times. It's a non-issue. No one talks about it. I mean, seriously, we don't sit around and kind of rehash everyone's comments and ask, hey, what do you think of that? And it doesn't happen.
You got a tough job over there. Reince Priebus, he's in Detroit getting ready for this Republican presidential debate. You still love it, is that what you're saying?
I've been in politics my entire life, from high school to the college Republicans to putting up yard signs and working for everyone that you can imagine as a volunteer in Wisconsin. And this is you know, being in the middle of all of this is quite an opportunity, and you know, we're going to do the best we can in order to make sure we get to a nominee and then take it to Hillary Clinton so that we can win in November.
Reince Priebus, thanks very much for joining us.
You bet. See ya.